そうだ。かかし先生にプレゼントがあるんだってばよ。
なに？お前、これは？
これってば、イチャイチャシリーズ3年ぶりの最新作。すんげえつまんねえけど、先生好きなんだろ？
Welcome everyone to Swords and Spirals. I'm Fabler, and I'd like to share with you some stories and some ways to play on your own. Today, I'm going to introduce you to my version of a Naruto tabletop role-playing game. There are two other notable Naruto D&D rulebooks out there, for 3rd and 5th editions respectively, and I've ran multiple campaigns using the former since 2012. I wanted to try a hand at making my own version of it, however, and this is the result. Swords and Spirals. It's a 74-page core rulebook using the 5th edition of D&D as its foundation. Within it, you'll find everything you need to have your own adventures in the world of Naruto. For this video, I'll do a general overview of the rulebook, and if there's enough interest, I'll do subsequent videos that delve into all aspects of its content. As a quick note before we begin, you can find a link to the entire Swords and Spirals rulebook down below. It's free, and is downloadable as a PDF. Before we proceed, both the document and this video assumes you're at least familiar with the world of Naruto, and the basic mechanics of 5th edition. It should also be noted that this document contains heavy spoilers for the entirety of Naruto's storyline, so if you have not read or watched all of it, and you care about being spoiled, close the document and this video now. You have been warned. With that out of the way, let's begin. So, when you open the document, you'll find a general preface of what Swords and Spirals is, as well as a clickable table of contents. There's too much to go over detail by detail in one video, so here I'll provide a brief overview of each section of the book. First, we have the Chakra section, which details what Chakra is and how it works as a game mechanic. Chakra is the resource all classes use to perform Jutsu and use special abilities. It works off of a point system, where each class has a set number of Chakra points at any given level, and any Chakra you spend is regained after the completion of a long rest. If you're familiar with the Monk's Key Points mechanic in 5th edition, it essentially works the same way, except you regain them on a long rest instead of a short one. There are a few other mechanics that are detailed in this section, such as Chakra Exhaustion and Chakra Natures, but the document does a better job of explaining it. Next, we have the Jutsu section. In Swords and Spirals, Jutsu essentially function as spells, each of which has their own rank that controls the ability to learn, create, and cast them. Yes, I said create. Not only does the system rely on players creating their own Jutsu, it revolves around it. Not just creating the mechanics for Jutsu that are seen in the show, but also creating entirely new ones from scratch that are unique to each player. Now, there are a host of examples in this document that will serve as templates, and I've already created most of the iconic ones. For all other Jutsu, there is a simple chart on this page that breaks down how much damage, healing, and durability any given Jutsu should have based on its rank, and whether it affects single targets or multiple ones. Speaking of rank, every Jutsu also has one associated with it that determines its complexity modifier. Complexity modifier. This is an important term, so I'll highlight it here. The complexity modifier governs a Jutsu's difficulty to learn and casting cost. In order of weakest to strongest, the ranks of Jutsu are as follows: E rank, D rank, C rank, B rank, A rank, and S rank. These essentially function as spell levels from 5th edition. So for example, Sasuke's Chidori would be a B-rank ninjutsu that costs 3 chakra points to cast. This is due to all B-rank jutsu having a complexity modifier of 3. In order to cast a jutsu, you must always pay a number of chakra points equal to the complexity modifier of its rank. So in more simplified terms, each rank has a number tied to it that determines its potency and casting cost. This means you can also upcast jutsu. So you could use 5 chakra points, the complexity modifier of all A-rank jutsu, to cast Chidori as an A-rank jutsu, which would increase its damage output. It sounds more complicated than it is, as is the case with most D&D mechanics, so the document breaks it down for you step by step. But how would your character go about learning Chidori in the first place? Or better yet, what if they wanted to create a jutsu of their own? This is where the complexity modifier really comes into play. To learn a new jutsu, you must make a series of skill checks with a DC equal to 12 plus the jutsu's complexity modifier. You need to succeed on a number of these checks equal to the complexity modifier of whatever you're trying to learn, with each roll representing a day's worth of training. Each attempt also costs you chakra points to make, and if you run out of chakra before you accumulate enough successes, you fail to learn the jutsu, and you cannot try again until you learn a different one, of equal rank or higher. There's more to it than that, but the document covers everything else you need to get started. Next, we come to the clans section. Clans function as your origin, or race, during character creation. Each clan offers unique features that can give them access to jutsu and techniques that aren't available to anyone else, such as the Nara clan's Shadow Jutsu, or the Abarame clan's Insect Jutsu. The clans available to pick from are all the ones found in the Hidden Leaf, as well as prominent others, such as the Kaguya, Hoshigaki, Kazekage, and Yuki clans. You can also make a prodigy, which is someone who has multiple clans as part of their ancestry. Prodigies get to choose 3 features from up to 3 separate clans. So you could have a character with Uchiha and Hyuga parents, and a Yamanaka grandparent. This would give them a Sharingan in one eye, a Byakugan in the other, and also grant them the Yamanaka clan's telepathic abilities. But they would not gain access to the full benefits of any of the 3, such as the Uchiha clan's Fire Chakra affinity. Alternatively, you could also choose to be clanless as your origin, granting you a nature affinity and a feat of your choice. Moving on. Next, we come to the Elemental Kekkei Genkai, or Elemental Bloodline Limits section. If you chose a clan that gave you access to an Elemental Kekkei Genkai, such as the Yuki clan's Ice release or the Kazekage clan's Magnet release, you'll find the details on it here. Elemental Kekkei Genkai are simply the fusion of 2 or more of the base elements to create a new one, such as fire and earth fused together to make lava release. While you can immediately gain access to some of these via clan choice, all of them are attainable through selecting appropriate feats that we'll go over in an upcoming section. Next, we have the Hijutsu, or Secret Technique section. This is where we find all of the secret jutsu that are exclusive to certain clans. It should be noted that not every single jutsu seen in the series is present in this book, as there is a system to easily create them on your own, listed in the jutsu section above. However, the ones listed here can help serve as a template for any others you may wish that are heavily associated with clans. That being said, I put what I thought were the most prominent jutsu of each clan in this section, and I may very well add more if this system sees enough interest. And here we come to it at last, the Dojutsu, or Eye Technique, section. These are bloodline limits based entirely around certain pairs of eyes that probably need no introduction. As of right now, I have only included the Byakugan, Sharingan, and Mangekyo Sharingan. The Rinnegan is so rare and nearly impossible to attain in almost any circumstance that I decided not to stat it up. But never say never. If enough people want it included, I'll create the mechanics for it. That being said, listed in this section are the benefits, chakra cost, features, and jutsu associated with each eye type. The Byakugan and the Sharingan each grow stronger as you level up, but their activation cost remains the same, so they're a lot more taxing to use at lower levels than higher ones. As for the Mangekyo Sharingan, it can only be unlocked through intense moments of roleplay, and it's always left up to the DM whether it manifests or not. Next, we come to the section of the book containing all 5 classes. In order of appearance, they are the Striker, Brawler, Medic, Illusionist, and Puppeteer. Each of them has 3 subclasses that further defines them, with the exception of the Puppeteer, which has 2. Quickly breaking them down one by one, the Striker is your ninjutsu-focused character who specializes in dealing damage at all ranges. Think Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, Haku, etc., etc. Their three subclasses are the Elementalist, Seal Artist, and Operative, focusing on Ninjutsu, Fuinjutsu, and Assassination, respectively. I have also created a Summoner subclass, for those of you who want to have a more Jiraiya or Orochimaru-like playstyle. If that interests you, you can find it on my Patreon, linked below. The Brawler is a Taijutsu-focused class, who is entirely based in melee combat. Think Rock Lee, Tintin, and the 4th Raikage. Their subclasses are the Youthful Spirit, who focuses on the 8 gates, the Quartermaster, who focuses on all aspects of weaponry, and the Enforcer, who focuses on augmenting their body with elemental chakra. Next, we have the Medic, the Iryojutsu or healing technique-focused class. Tsunade, Kabuto, and Shizune serve as examples of medics and each of their 3 subclass archetypes. The Exarch, who masters chakra control to achieve godlike strength and healing. The Surgeon, who is a master of precision and crippling enemies. And the Alchemist, who specializes in poisons and supplying their party with crucial pharmaceutical items such as soldier pills. After that, we come to the Illusionist, who focuses entirely on Genjutsu. Itachi, Tayuya, and Kurenai were the primary inspirations for this class. Masters of dealing death via eye contact, the Oculist is for all the Itachi fans out there. However, if beguiling scores of enemies with music is more of your style, then the Musician is for you. Or perhaps you're more of a traditionalist with your illusory arts, in which case the Hypnotist is right up your alley. Finally, we save my personal favorite class for last, the Puppeteer. Kankuro, Chiyo, and Sasori are the primary examples of this class. If you like the idea of crafting your own puppets and using them to slaughter your foes with a flick of your finger, then look no farther. With the Artisan subclass, you can turn the corpses of your enemies into puppets and be able to use the jutsu they had in life. While the Traditionalist focuses on augmenting regular puppets to be stronger and more resilient than their Artisan counterparts. Now, what if you wanted to play a character like Tobirama, who had aspects from 2 different striker subclasses, the Seal Artist and the Elementalist? This is where a new mechanic, called Branching Paths, come into play. Every class gains 2 branching paths as they level up. A branching path allows you to take the first feature from another subclass, provided that subclass shares your current class. While the second branching path allows you to take the next feature of your first branching path choice, or the first feature of a different subclass. For example, Sakura would be a medic who chose the Exarch as her subclass. At 9th level, medics gain their first branching path. So, she chooses to gain the Surgical Procedures feature from the Surgeon subclass, thus allowing her to save Kankuro's life when he needs that poison extracted. At 13th level, medics gain their second branching path. So, she chooses the Concoctions feature from the Alchemist subclass to help Naruto out with those nasty-tasting soldier pills. Going back to Tobirama, on the other hand, he is a striker who chose Seal Artist as his primary subclass. For both of his branching path choices, he went with the Elementalist subclass, allowing him to gain the Ninjutsu Clash and the Elemental Focus features for his Water Jutsu. Alternatively, if you don't want to take a branching path at all, that's totally fine. You gain an ability score increase instead at those levels. Next, we come to the Shinobi Backgrounds and Feats section. The backgrounds are self-explanatory, just offering some Naruto-themed choices, such as Academy Student. The feats are broken up into 4 categories: Shinobi feats, Elemental Kekkei Genkai feats, Clan feats, and Jinchuriki feats. Shinobi feats are something that all characters have access to, the most notable of which is the Sage feat, which grants you access to Sage mode provided you meet the prerequisites of the feat before taking it. Elemental Kekkei Genkai feats simply give you access to a particular fused element, provided you already have the chakra affinity with its parent elements. For example, a character who has the water and wind chakra affinities before level 4 could use their ability score increase at level 4 to gain the Ice Release Elemental Kekkei Genkai feat, allowing them to learn and create ice-style jutsu. Clan feats, on the other hand, can only be acquired by characters who match the clan type prerequisite. For example, a character who chose the Uzumaki clan as their clan during character creation could take the Adamantine Sealing Chains feat that we see both Kushina and Karin use. Prodigy characters also gain access to these feats, provided their ancestry matches them. Finally, Jinchuriki feats can only be acquired by characters who have a tailed beast sealed into them. Any character who attains these feats will become far stronger than any other character in the game, due to basically having an unlimited source of chakra. So, DMs will want to carefully consider if they allow Jinchuriki at their table or not. Speaking of tailed beasts, the next section covers both them, as well as Jinchuriki and their unique mechanics. Every single tailed beast has a full stat block that can make for powerful to near impossible challenges for a party to overcome. Next, we come to a single page that covers the summoning jutsu. Long story short, putting more chakra points into the jutsu when you cast it increases the size of the summoned creature and the length of time it can remain on the battlefield. Since the types of creatures you can summon is so varied, it's up to each player to create the stats of their particular summoned creatures, to be approved of by their DM, of course. A clickable link on the page provides an easy reference chart to help with stat creation. Finally, we come to the example jutsu section. This section consists of jutsu of every rank that can be used as templates to create your own. I've included some of the most common and iconic jutsu, as well as all of the basic ones that almost every single shinobi would know, going all the way back to their academy days. I think the most complicated jutsu in all of Naruto is Edo Tensei, so I went ahead and made that one too. While it's the only S-rank jutsu that can be found in this particular section, there are others in the Dojutsu and Hijutsu sections that can serve as templates as well. If there's any glaring jutsu that aren't already included, and would be too complicated for the average player to make themselves, please mention it down in the comments, and I will add it to this document. Keep in mind, however, that the whole point of this book is to be a more streamlined and condensed version of the game. Thus, it relies much more on player contribution and creation than most other 5e-based systems. As for the last page, it's a handful of legendary magic items that have a strong connection to the Leaf Village in one way or the other, such as Orochimaru's Kusanagi Blade or Itachi's Yada Mirror. If this video sees enough interest, I'll be creating follow-up documents that essentially function as expansions to the game. They will include new subclasses, clans, backgrounds, feats, jutsu, magic items, and even some adventures. Each will have a theme to them, such as Mysteries of the Mist, which would include the 7 Swords of the Mist as magic items, a new Brawler subclass called the Swordsman, the Hozuki and Karatachi clans, and a level 1 to 3 adventure based on the Mist's bloody history. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have fun trying this system out. If this video gets 100 likes, I'll post a video going over the specifics of character creation, as well as a video discussing ideas to help you create your own adventures in the setting, including ones that I've ran entire campaigns on. If you'd like to support me as a content creator, I do have a self-published sci-fi fantasy novel for sale on Amazon called Terratopia. I would recommend the paperback version over the Kindle one, as formatting for Kindle is not exactly my strong suit. If you'd prefer something a little lighter on your wallet, God knows we all do at this point, I do have a Patreon in which you can gain access to exclusive 5e content, including the Summoner subclass mentioned earlier in the video, all for as little as $1 a month. Again, thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, feel free to check out some of my other ones that go over some of my other 5e content, such as the Oath of Devilry Paladin. This has been your humble Fabler, signing off.